All right. I mean, forget that you saw me like this. I was digging it on the dance floor, myself and Ugo. I mean, it's a Friday. It's a fun Friday. It's a turn-up Friday. And so you were wondering, why haven't we seen these people? So we're just digging on the dance floor. Well, apologies. How are you guys doing? It's a Friday morning right here on Rapid
I thought you were
Dawn.
going to say that we were making sure all of the party elements were in place, trying to sort out the
No,
DJ, the
no, we have finished that part. We're
caterers,
already digging it.
you know,
We have finished
really,
that part. We're already dancing.
by 1 o'clock
Party's
in the
already
morning.
starts now.
Well, it's Friday. Fridays are for fun.
Absolutely.
Bringing all the freakiness that comes with Fridays. Yeah.
Freak.
Freaky, freaky.
Okay. Well, freaking starts from 6 p.m. But from 6 a.m. you just have to have fun, and you're like, oh, it's a fun Friday. Thank you. Whoopoo, whoopoo, whoopoo. All right, so we're just gonna run straight. I mean, especially since it's a Friday, a lot of beautiful things have been happening. A lot of big stories on our national dailies. Now, let us tell you something very crazy that is about to happen. Now, our national anthem is about to be, I won't call it changed, okay? They are taking it back to,
So are we moving forward? Are we going backwards? What are we doing?
you really don't want to see the reactions of people on the social
Honestly,
space.
because I really do not also want to give my views.
No, I'm sure I won't like it. I'm sure I won't like it.
Oh my God.
But let's dive in straight into what our national dailies are saying this beautiful morning. Let's have the papers on the screen right about now. Okay, so we start with Business Day. Oh, I can't see national anthem on the. Okay, it's not there. Nigerians' healthcare woes worsen as states struggle to tap 128 billion naira fund.
States are also in the business of tapping.
Tap, 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 tap,
Everyone
tap.
is tapping now.
All right, Sanusi back as Emir after Kano repeals law. We also have PMI expansion signals stronger economic growth in the first quarter. We also have other interesting stories. I see a picture that looks like DJ Copy. It has signature pink gilly.
I'm sure she's not the one.
Looks so much like her and smiles so much like her. There are other interesting stories that you want to find on a copy of Business Day this morning. Moving on.
Continue with first news. Atiku vows unstoppable pursuit of presidency, says I won't quit until I succeed. 19.4 billion naira fraud trial, court grants ex-aviation minister Hadi Sirika bail. And the big story on first news, historic reversal, Sanusi II returns as Emir of Kano. I restored him to fulfill my commitments to the people, says Governor Abba Yusuf. And well, that's the picture of President Bola Tinubu gracing the inauguration ceremony of President Muhammad Debi Itno, right there in Chad. Reps to engage labor to prevent strike over minimum wage. We're just how many days now? 6 days away from the deadline that's been set by labor. Banky W successfully undergoes 4th cancer surgery. Thank God for that. I think that's the much you can take from first news this morning.
And moving on to Leadership Friday, 4 years after Sanusi II returns as Emir of Kano. And we also have Crown June 9, this one March 9. These are like a breakdown of everything that has happened, the entire process, and how Assembly set stage for Emir's recall. We also have Tinubu orders national spread in school birds. And we'll bring down cost of living and doing business. It's coming from the federal government. That would be great news for Nigerians. I mean, but it shouldn't just end at just the news alone. It should be implemented. Nigeria targets $20 billion oil, gas investment. This is coming from Lokwobiri. And the federal government halts Lagos Calabar Coastal Road project realignment. I saw the story, I think yesterday evening, and some people said, oh, they're about to play with us again. And I think one of the reasons they gave was for the cable, the underground cable issues. And let's see how this story unfolds. Let's move on.
The Guardian is up next. 1 year of renewed hope Tinubu's costly reforms leave Nigerians on edge 1 year after. That's the big story. Details on pages 4 and 5. We'll have 10-year economic rot can't be connected, or corrected rather, in 12 months. Sanusi cautions ministers give Tinubu pass mark amid rising inflation, subsidies and insecurity. Senate to probe 11,856 abandoned projects across Nigeria. Concerns about inactive $252 million Intel facility. Missing info on NCC dashboard. And of course, as Sanusi returns, anxiety, uncertainty in Kano over fate of deposed emirs. Reps pass bill to revert to old national anthem. That's a story that Cynthia was referring to. High cost of living, electricity tariff on the increase, labor agitating, dilapidated infrastructure. All of those are not important. What of course is very, very key for our lawmakers is to go back to our old national anthem.
Trust me, sometimes we get to wonder, are these people really in this country? Do they really feel the pulse of the people? Are they really in alignment with some of the things happening to the everyday man? You just can't help but ask yourself these questions. I mean,
but then again, the news that you cannot get from Nigeria does not exist.
Let's move on to the next paper. Daily Independent. Federal government leads oil sector achievement, target $20 billion investments this year. Says it has made Nigeria a big draw for global investors, and Tinubu laying solid foundations to reduce cost of living. And we also have SAC staff engaged in $600,000 ticket racketeering. This is coming from the Turkish Airlines. And we also have reps pass bill to revert to old national anthem. Tinubu orders review of governing councils of tertiary institutions after protest. Let's move downwards. Let's see some of the stories. We have alleged 19.4 billion naira fraud. Ex-aviation minister Sirika brother reigned get 100 million naira bill each. I won't stop contesting for presidency as long as I'm healthy. Wow. This is coming from former Vice President Atiku Abubakar. Tinubu should tell Nigerians through position of things, says Bade George. These and many more you will find on the front page of the paper this beautiful Daily Independent this morning. Let's move on.
All right, Punch Sports Extra now. Game changer, how football's latest hero, Lookman, found love in Bergamo. Atlanta spent £211 million to win Europa. We'll have Blues lead United in Araujo race. It's privileged to replace Klopp coming from Arne Slot. UEFA bans Xavi for 3 games. Eaglets battle Ivory Coast for under-17 AFCON ticket. Nadal handed Zverev draw in French Open first. That's a really, really big one. Proud of you. Girlfriend consoles Boniface after Europa loss. Get yourself a girlfriend that can console you after you lose a match. We'll have Bayern hand company 3-year deal. Well, wouldn't know if that's official, but that's a story on Punch Sports Extra this morning. Eagles captaincy, fans slam Finidi over stands.
You've started.
Well, I didn't see anything that he said that was out of the ordinary. He simply said, like it's been the system, that the oldest player in the team gets the captain armband. Okay. Yes, the oldest person in terms, the person who's been there the longest. The longest. Yeah, so I don't know why everyone is crying foul about that. But then again, that's the story on
maybe they were expecting something different. Maybe they were expecting him to go for the youngest this time. Moving away from the status quo.
To change the dynamics. Interesting.
Bring a new element into the picture.
Well, I wouldn't know if...
Okay, let's look at New Telegraph before we wrap up the papers this morning. Kano government reinstates Emir Sanusi as State Assembly says sacks Bayero orders. And we also have a story up there. Tinubu orders thorough review of tertiary institutions governing boards. You'll find that on page 5 and 6. Reps pass bill to revert to old national anthem as Senate backs Tinubu's proposal. We also have something on page 5 as well. Nigerian Army operating under difficult, challenging environment. This is coming from the Chief of Army Staff. George to Tinubu, Nigeria's progress lies in true federalism, good governance. That is on page 2 of the paper this morning. Poverty, hunger, driving crimes as low as 500 naira in Nigeria. This is coming from the Sultan. Senate probes 11,866 federal government abandoned projects across Nigeria. This is where we wrap up the paper headlines this beautiful morning. So you want to get yourself updated, do grab a copy of any of these papers, any of these stories, and to digest them. But don't let it affect your mood. Absolutely. Don't let it. All right. So in the next 6 minutes that we have, we'll just go straight to something beautiful. You know, I always love the part where people look good. You know that part, right?
Just like you're looking this morning.
No, they whine me.
With a rustle dazzle. Looking pretty in yellow. This is the point where you say, "Oh, thank you. You look amazing too." Yeah.
No, except that part.
Come on.
Except that part.
It's a good day to be gracious, you know.
Okay, let me be. I mean, this niceness of mine comes once in a while. Like once in a while. Ugo Chukwu, Madam Mary.
Who is Ugo Chukwu? I am unfamiliar with that person.
Yeah.
I've never met him before.
So you don't want my compliment? I'll pass down.
But that's not my name now.
What's your?
What do you mean by Ugo Chukwu?
Ugo Chukwu. Okay. He doesn't want my compliments.
Oh my
apparently,
God.
it's so glaring. So let's now move on to the beautiful part, which is the fashion. Now, I'm sure you've seen a couple of videos that have been spreading around of high school prom videos. I mean, wait, did you have such luxury when you were in secondary school?
That's only for a privileged few. But the only way to find out is to ask you the name of the school that you attended.
Don't tell me yours, don't worry.
I mean, if you attended Kings and Queens College,
okay,
nice. You're gonna have those kind of things.
Yes.
Royal Dynasty Children, you know, those kind of things. Excellent Brains Academy.
Wait, are there schools with? Is that the name of school? Or are you just forming this name?
No, like real names.
Are you sure?
You know, or British Montessori something.
No, you're forming names. Thank you.
No,
let's go
seriously.
to the picture. No.
Seriously, but if it's Mbarakuma Community Secondary School, I'm sorry for you. I'm sorry for you.
All right, so these particular students, the theme was Disney. So they decided to play, like, dress up in different Disney characters. And so I want to assume this is like Lion King or so. Mufasa. And these are high school kids. Okay, so what do you think? Is this too much?
Let's see the rest of the pictures and then I can tell you.
Okay, let's move to the next one. I like this one. This gives Aladdin.
Yeah.
This is, see your favorite monkey.
Oh, it's not my favorite. It's just a really cute animal.
Okay. Monkey, cute animal.
Yes, they can be cute sometimes.
Okay. This gives the Aladdin character. Let's move to the next. Okay, so this is not Shrek.
No.
This is who is this? Who
I am unfamiliar with this.
Okay, I'll figure that out. Let's move to the next.
This mask.
Okay, this gives Shrek green. This gives the Shrek.
Yes, but more of you know those flying mermaids or things like that.
No, you know Shrek's babe she had a green.
Oh.
Yes, the girl Shrek.
So that's what she's trying to
with.
replicate here.
It looks so. Let's move to the next one. Okay, this name is here, but it's not coming out.
This is catastrophe.
Pandemonium. But
Oh my God! How can you? Is that a red suit on? What's that now?
yellow.
Oh, come
No, I
on.
mean orange rather.
This is confusion in paradise.
I mean, but most of these animations, Disney characters, they're always so colorful, basically. And so, like I said, there was one time I said it on the show. I said most of these colors are very nice. They look good on these characters. But then if you wear it in real time, you'll be like, what am I doing
Looks
to
real
myself? Let's move to the next one.
There's a Prince Charming and his beloved princess.
Yes, I really love this dress.
This one is nice.
I really love this dress. Let's move to the next. Okay, no, this is a Cinderella.
Oh yeah.
And the shoe.
Prince Charles.
The Cinderella and the shoe. Look at the shoe over there.
So that's Prince Charles now.
Yes. Is it Prince Charles? Yes, it's Prince Charles.
Yeah.
That's a glass shoe. That's Cinderella. All right, let's move to the next. Who is this now? Who's this? Who's this? Who's this? Who's this? Who's this?
Guy looks pretty in white, given a bit of angel.
Oh, that's the frog. I remember this character now. The frog on his shoulder. If you look at the shoulder, you see a frog. There's a, is it a frog or a toad? There's a little frog right there. What's this character again that usually move around with a frog? I can't
must have seen a lot of cartoons because I am unfamiliar with this, with some of these characters, really.
So, but the dress is a bit too much. This one.
That's Cruella.
Yes.
That's Cruella.
Yes. Oh, yes. Absolutely correct. Let's move to the next one. You see that frog again?
Okay.
It's the same one from the other picture where the guy was on white.
The green is greening.
Yes. I like the fact that she's on all green.
And these are like high school kids, or what we
Yes.
call secondary school kids.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's move to the next one. Okay, so this one is having, this is Aladdin on the other side, the one dressed the way. And we have, the one on blue is giving...
I was invited to a ball, kind of.
No, there's a character that wears that. I'm trying to, lots of young girls like that particular cartoon. Let's move to the next one. This is giving, you should know this one. Where
I don't want to say the word.
Say it.
I can't believe, I wouldn't want to believe that's what they're trying to replicate, because why would you want to replicate that kind of character?
You remember who played that character? It was Angelina Jolie.
Oh, yeah?
That played the character. She was on this very...
Well, talking about what I think is too much or not, I mean, this could easily pass for an access vision, trying to portray what they probably learned in arts class and all of that. And then you have to understand that their realities are different. I mean, for them to be able to even afford this, that tells you a whole lot about their upbringing. It tells you a little bit about their background, who their parents are, the kind of things they can afford and all of that. So if you put all of that into consideration, the question of, what is right, what is too much and what is not, it becomes a little bit of a challenge.
Okay, but I think that their parents actually did put in the work. They say, okay, this is what I want to look like, and they go all out to get that particular look. I mean, tell your Nigerian mother that you want to look like Aladdin. You have to really convince her that you want to look like Aladdin.
She will ask you if that's what they sent you to school to do. Have you finished learning multiplication table? Have you finished learning? Can you recite the periodic table from beginning to the end?
How are you going to pass your exam?
And
then you want to look like Shrek.
They will even ask you, what was your position the last time that the result came out? And you want them to give you money to go and buy Satan's things and put on your head.
Oh my God. No, this is not Satan's thing. Come on.
But that's what a typical Nigerian parent is going to do.
All right, so I'm sure this is the last picture. Oh, no, there should be one more. Yes.
Looking pretty in blue.
Yeah, this is another Cinderella visiting the castle. Yes, this is it. This is another now. I really love this dress. I think the ladies on the blue dress actually looking very beautiful.
Yeah.
Now I'm considering a blue dress.
Absolutely.
A blue dress that looks like this.
With blonde hair?
Of course, you know I can do it. I can't do it.
Oh my God.
No, but not for rapid done. Because if I go on a blonde hair, you have to go on a blonde hair too. Okay. All right, so that's the much we would take on the looks this beautiful morning. I mean, amazing looks, I must say. Before the end of the show, we'll try to get you our runway. You know, a day without a runway is an incomplete day.
Absolutely.
So before we end the show, we'll get the runway to you. But right about now, we'll go on a very short musical break. This is a song by Candy Blaze featuring Simi. This one is for our mothers. All right, welcome back. That was Candy Blaze and Simi. Amazing, amazing song, if you ask me. So we're supposed to be talking sports right about now. Tell me now, who's winning?
Oh, really? You didn't?
Because I'm still basking in Lukman.
I mean, that has to be the biggest story right now. Ademola Lookman. I mean, but something that happened yesterday. So after the match, the night before yesterday, one of the top sports, press company, rather in Britain. So they posted a picture announcing that Atlanta had won the Europa League, and then surprisingly, they didn't put a picture of Ademola Lookman.
Who did they put?
I mean, they put two other players. And everyone was like, okay, what exactly is going on? A final was played, and then one player scored all 3 goals.
Absolutely.
And then, in your wisdom, you felt like he didn't deserve to be on your front page, or, the face behind that particular story. It didn't really make sense, and so there was a lot of dragging online,
as they should,
and a lot of insinuations and allegations, regarding, oh, you guys have always been like this, a couple of racist allegations as well. Eventually, they had to pull it down.
Good.
They had to pull it down. But then again, we've seen this happen time and time again. Even the year that Victor Osimhen won the Italian Serie A with Napoli, we found a lot of foreign media outlets, using other players, even though Osimhen was the one who scored the highest number of goals for the team. And I mean, it's not just any kind of goal. These were the goals that were vital. Some of those 1-0 wins they had, some of those draws that they had that helped them secure the title. It was courtesy of Osimhen. So it would have made sense for you to put him tops, to headline him, splash him on the front pages of your newspaper, but they weren't doing that. And people were wondering, okay, what exactly is going on? How do your clubs buy our players? I mean, you pay insane money.
Of course.
And then when our players help
do the job that they were brought to do,
it's now hard for you to give them the credits that they are due. And there was a whole lot of back and forth about that. But it just seems like it's probably something that will never go away. And I wonder really why it has to be so.
It's really crazy coming from there because luckily enough, many of the publications I did have access to all had Lukman's photo. They all had, I mean, the videos as well were more of moments where Lukman was being celebrated. So if one, I don't believe that if one publication is not talking about him, I like the dragging part anyway, but they should try to just try and ignore the bad parts and focus on the
it's hard
other
to
people
ignore,
who are
especially when
celebrating.
it's a very reputable media outlet, that you would expect to do better, that you would expect to follow what you might call the ethics of the profession. Because, I mean, if you're talking about a story, you have to use who are the biggest actors in the story. And in this case, if not for these... It's a no-brainer. Even a toddler would know that. So you can't say it was an omission. You can't say it was a mistake. His actions are not the type that can be overlooked. You understand? So,
but the good thing is that we love you, Lukman. We celebrate with you, and I hope that we will not start hearing that other people want to buy Lukman and he's considering living at Atlanta.
Well, right now, because of what he's been able to achieve, his market value is definitely going to go up. So I wouldn't be surprised if we have interest for Lukman. But then again, if I were him, I would take my time before making it, because it was until he came to Atlanta that his career really went really up. I mean, he's been in England. He's played for Fulham. He's played for Leicester City. He's played for RB Leipzig. And he hasn't really kicked into form at all of these places. So you know what they say about your good place? There's a place that you come to and it feels like home. There's a place that you come to and you find out that things start working. And we are very emotional people. We have attachments to those kind of places. So if I were Lukman, am I going to eventually make a move? Yes, but right now just sit back and revel in the glories that you're getting at the moment. Revel in those praises. Everyone is acknowledging you, giving you accolades. Just enjoy it for a moment, before moving away or trying to look for something better.
Anyway, there's actually a picture that I was hoping that we would have for me to show you. I saw this picture of where Manchester United, that's Sir Alex Ferguson, has, I mean, number of awards, number of trophies. Then we have Arsene Wenger, we have Jurgen Klopp, we have Jose Mourinho. But then, with the way you always talk about Manchester United, one would think they don't have any trophies at all. Come on. But I looked at this list and I discovered that we have the highest.
That is a serious allegation. Yes, Manchester United.
We can put it on the screen.
Manchester United has the highest number of Premier League titles in England, and in fact, if I'm not mistaken, the highest number of trophies as a whole, including Carabao Cup and FA Cup in England. But you know what they say about I get and before?
No. Let's stick with the good part.
Yeah, no. Listen, when you talk about these things, or when I talk about you, I do not talk about them, in a way as
exactly. Look at it.
As to not give them the credits that they are due in terms of a traditional club that they are, in terms of the history that they have, in terms of the records that they have broken, in terms of the antecedents that they possess. But then again, you have to now look at the game in a dynamic way. In the last 10 years, in the last 20 years, who are the ones who have been calling the shots? And the truth of the matter is that this is the one man who was responsible, Sir Alex Ferguson, for most of those trophies. The truth of the matter is that since he left Manchester United have never remained the same.
So let's now, because it's always about what is the solution. Because when I stumbled on this, I was like, okay, fine. How do we? All of this much more insults we have been receiving.
There's really nothing. I wouldn't say a solution.
What would you say?
I would say, this is football.
So?
This is football. Are you aware that there was a time that Nottingham Forest, was like the biggest club in England? West Bromwich Albion was the biggest in England. These are clubs that, have a certain history. Do you get? Everton have never been relegated from the English Premier League. You know, that's history right there. You know, but then again, because of certain factors. Now, what has happened is that over the years, we've had investors who've put in money into, for instance, a club like Man City was nobody in the scheme of things.
Yeah.
Until the Saudis bought the club and then got a Pep Guardiola and gave him everything that he needed. You know, and I mean, when you have that luxury of cash to buy anybody that you want in the world, I mean, at a point they were talking about bringing Messi to Manchester City. It was only the problem was Messi didn't want to come. So there's no player in the world right now that Man City says they want to buy
that they can afford.
that they cannot. Do you get what I mean? So these are the things.
So
that
is the problem money for Man U?
you
Or
can't.
is it strategy?
You can't say money. Teams have their good times. Teams have their bad times. The last
Bad time for 10 years?
the last time Chelsea won a trophy was in 2018. Before that, they had won every trophy. They had won a trophy every season back to back. No matter how bad the season was for Chelsea, since Abramovich took over, at least they would get, even if it is the least FA Cup or the Carabao Cup, they would win something. But guess what? Since 2018, that was the last time they won anything. You know, so I mean, the fans have had to endure a period of trophylessness. Do you get? So at a point, even with how good Arsene Wenger was as a coach, Arsenal went 9-10 years trophyless before Mikel Arteta came and won the FA Cup. When was the last time that Arsenal won a Premier League title? That was since 2003, 2024, when they you know, went the entire season unbeaten. So that tells you the whole story of, you know,
the dynamics.
Exactly, exactly. Took it out of my mouth. The condition is never the same. No permanent condition in football. We only have clubs who their class is permanent. Now, when you talk of Man U, no matter what happens, you have to talk about them with a certain level of respect.
Absolutely,
yeah?
absolutely.
And it's not about money. They splashed 100 million on Anthony, splashed over 50 on Casemiro, splashed over 50 as well on Rasmus Højlund. So the problem is not money. Do you get? I mean, recently there was even a talk about the Glazers family giving up majority of their stocks because they're the majority owners in Manchester United. But what has had to happen is that Jim Ratcliffe has now bought a share in Manchester United, and this is no small man. So it's not a question of money.
They
can afford any coach that they want. They can afford any manager that they want. They can afford any sporting director they want. They can afford any player in the world. But then again, it's about finding the right kind of manager for the English Premier League. Erik ten Hag is not a bad manager, won trophies with Ajax Amsterdam, but you have to understand that the dynamics in the Premier League are totally different. It's fast-paced, it's very dramatic, most times controversial, and it's not everyone who can keep up with the pace. We've got a lot of players and managers who did well in other leagues.
But coming to the Premier League, they can do
different. Well. It's different.
Okay, so then is there a possibility, because I need to run out of here, is there a possibility where you could have it may not be possible, but is there any slight chance where you can have, okay, let's say when it gets towards the time for the Premier League, you get someone dedicated for that, while we still have Ten Hag there?
It doesn't
Since
really,
they know what their problem is.
No. It doesn't really work like that. That is where scouting comes in for most Premier League clubs. And you have to understand that clubs have philosophies. They have things that they believe in. Real Madrid, for instance, I mean, the oldest club in history. And no matter how bad it is, they have a system of play. And what's that system? They always win. I mean, if you're a coach, you come to Real Madrid and you don't win, you're out. It happened to Jose Mourinho, happened to the very best, happened to Zinedine Zidane. Yeah. So no matter how bad it gets, you just have to win. For Manchester United, I'm even surprised they've been really patient up to this point, you know. But then again, you have to consider the fact that the shoes that were left by Sir Alex Ferguson were really big.
Really big.
Really big. And they did not do a good job as to the transition, you know, from someone that good, from someone that excellent at his job, from someone that, I mean, a lot of people found him as an intimidating figure in English football, you know. The transition from that to anything else, it should have been, you know, from like, let's say 100 to, let's say, maybe 85, 90. You don't go from 100 and then you go all the way down to 40. I mean, it's going to affect the team in the long run. So I don't know if Man U is going to be sticking with Ten Hag, but I'm sure their troubles are not over.
Or maybe they should come and take me. I mean, it's called the Theatre of Dreams, right?
Yeah.
Old Trafford.
You are allowed to dream. We have a couple of female coaches who are fantastic. Chelsea's coach, for instance, Emma Hayes, she's won the women's Premier League 5 times in a row.
You see? Come get me.
But she coaches for Chelsea. It's sad though, because she's going to be she's already left. You know, she left after the end of the last season. So
well, it looks like the theater of dream is becoming a theater of frustration.
Because
there were videos circulating all over social space about the leaking roof, and anyway, I hope that is fixed, because our theater of dream has to keep being that way.
These were the things that Cristiano Ronaldo talked about in his interview with Piers Morgan, and everyone felt like he was being disrespectful. This was the club that made you. Why would you say these kind of things? But I think he was really trying to be helpful. He was trying to be real, because in the first place, he did not have any business coming back to Manchester United after he had already left. So it takes somebody with some level of passion, some level of affinity for a club to do that. And then he comes back and it feels like things have really messed up. And I'm sure he did his best at the time that he was there to address some of those concerns, but apparently no one was listening to him. He now had to make the move away from England to Saudi Arabia, from where he now had to speak out. We would always tell people, speak out, speak out, speak out. And when they do, we start to drag them. But the things that he talked about, are they true? I mean, you've seen the videos.
Anyway, I'm out of here. Ugochukwu will continue with his spot. I'm sure he has a couple of things to talk about. We hear that there's a particular coach that has been brought in, a new coach that's been brought in for, what's the name of this club again? Anyway, you have all the stories. Bye-bye, I'm going.
All right, a very good morning. Thank you for joining us on Rapid Sports this morning. It's the morning tonic you ingest once every 24 hours, Monday to Friday, right here on this channel, 176 in Star Times. My name is Ugochukwu Madumeri. I'm your sporting maestro for this morning. Well, we've seen the end of proceedings in the Bundesliga and the English Premier League. But of course, we have action continuing in Spain, in Italy, and of course in France. The league has ended, but we'll have the League Cup final happening this weekend as well. Well, let's start off this morning with news emanating from Ghana, neighbors, where Nigeria will face Ivory Coast in the semi-finals of the ongoing WAFU B on the 17th championship right there in Ghana later on tomorrow, after starting out of the group on top following a 3-0 win against Togo in their last group game on Thursday. It was a scheduled game, actually was supposed to be played on Wednesday, but eventually had to be moved to Thursday yesterday because of extreme weather conditions, and Nigeria came out blazing hot. Abdul Muziz Deleke scored a brace. Rafa Adams also with his second goal of the tournament, and Nigeria with that beautiful victory there. So we have Nigeria up against Ivory Coast in the semi-finals. It's going to be happening by 7 p.m. Nigerian time on Saturday. The two finalists will pick the tickets for next year's Under-17 AFCON, which serve as the qualifiers for the expanded 2025 FIFA Under-17 World Cup in Qatar. The other semi-final will involve Ghana and Burkina Faso. And so we wish the Mano Garobas boys all the very best. Let's talk about the round of 16 in the Federation Cup, the President's Federation Cup, where we'll see some very interesting matchups in this particular one. After edging Plateau United 3-2 on penalties rather in Abuja on Wednesday, Sunshine Stars will face another tough test against fellow Nigeria Premier League side Rivers United, who beat Niger Tornadoes 1-0 in the round of 16. The last 16 fixtures also threw up a Northwest derby between Kano Pillars and Castilla United, just as Ikorodu City and Inter Lagos will meet in a Lagos derby and rematch of their State FA Cup final. In other ties, Giant Killers, Wiki Tories, who sent Bendel Insurance, of course, who are defending champions Packing, and EFCC will try to size up each other. So it's Wiki Tories up against EFCC. We'll have Sokoto United up against Enyimba. KB United will also fancy their chances against 2015 champions Akwa United. Kanemi Warriors and Shooting Stars will lock horns, while it's going to be Kwara United and Abia Warriors negotiating their way past each other. Still talking about news emanating from the Nigeria Premier Football League. Enyimba have named a new coach in the person of Yemi Olerewaju, who of course was assistant to coach Finidi George. He will now step in, or rather step up, as the new head coach of Enyimba for the remainder of the season, following the appointment of Finidi George as the coach of the Super Eagles. Well, his appointment was confirmed in a statement by the club later on yesterday, 1 week after Finidi was unveiled as Super Eagles coach by the Nigeria Football Federation. He's had experiences with MFM and the Under-17 national team. Currently, at the moment, Enyimba third in the MPFL log with 3 points after 32 games, and their last 6 matches will see them face local rivals Abia Warriors on Sunday, Rivers United, Plateau, talking about league leaders Enugu Rangers, Bayelsa United, Sporting Lagos, and Plateau United. Well, I hope that he will be able to continue with the good works of the big man, Finidi George. And let's also tell you right now that West Ham United have named a new coach. Of course, you know, it was David Moyes' last season at the Hammers, and so they've named former Real Madrid and Spain boss Julen Lopetegui as their new manager yesterday after David Moyes' departure from the London Stadium. The 57-year-old Spaniard, who had been out of work since Wolves on the eve of the just concluded Premier League season, Lopetegui will officially begin his work with the Hammers on the 1st of July, replacing Moyes after the Scots exit at the end of the season. The Hammers finished 9th in the Premier League in the 2023-2024 season. Still talking about coaches, Ajax Amsterdam on Thursday named Italian Francesco Fraioli as their new manager at the club, seeks to turn the new page on a horror season in which they trailed 5th. And so those are some of the shake-ups in management football. And still talking about that, Claudio Ranieri has now bid farewell to Cagliari after the match against Fiorentina yesterday. Claudio Ranieri waved goodbye to Cagliari and brought the curtain down on a near 4-decade club coaching career, with Thursday's 3-2 defeat to Fiorentina cruelly inflicted in the 13th minute of added time. Could have ended actually 2-2, but then again, Fiorentina had more thoughts on that particular one. Italy have now named their squad for Euro 2024, and we'll have a couple of big names in that particular one. Goalkeepers Gianluigi Donnarumma, Alex Meret, and of course Ivan Provedel and Guillermo Vicario of Tottenham, all in that provisional list. Francisco Azebi of Inter Milan, Alessandro Bastoni, Raul Bellanova, Alessandro Boiguiono, Riccardo Califiori, Andrea Cabiasso, Matthew Diamond, Giovanni Lorenzo, Federico De Marco, Gianluca Mancini, and Giorgio Scavini of Atlanta, all in that one. The middle of the pack, it's fully packed with talent. Nicolo Barella, Brian Cristante, Nicolo Fiagoli, Michael Folorunshaw, David Fratesi, Giorgino of Arsenal, Lorenzo Pellegrini of Roma, and of course Samuel Ricci. And in the forward we have Federico Chiesa, Stefan El Shaarawy, Riccardo Osloni, Giacomo Raspadori of Napoli. We have Matteo Retuigui of Genoa, and of course Gianluca Scamacca of Atlanta, and Mathias Saccagini. And these are the ones who would be wearing the colors of Italy right there in Euros. But of course they are in Group B, where they're up against Spain, Croatia, and Albania. Italy play Turkey and Bosnia-Herzegovina in pre-tournament friendlies early next month. Let's round off with tennis this morning, where of course we have the draws for Roland Garros, which starts up this weekend. Well, we'll be having the qualifiers actually, and veteran Swiss star Stanislas Wawrinka told AFP yesterday that Rafael Nadal is still as strong as ever as the 14-time French Open champion prepares to play his final Roland Garros. And Nadal, who will turn 38 next week, has barely played since January 2023 after being laid low by a hip injury and a muscle tear. He had to sit out the 2022 French Open, where he was, of course, defending champion, but is back in Paris for what is certain to be an emotional farewell to an event where he lost just 3 times in 115 meetings since 2005. And of course, he's going to be up against Alexander Zverev. That happens to be one of the most ironic draws of all time. Rafael Nadal up against world number 4, Alexander Zverev, in a blockbuster first-round match at his farewell French Open, while women's champion Iga Swiatek and fellow 4-time winner Naomi Osaka are on a second-round collision course. Defending men's champion and 24th Grand Slam winner Novak Djokovic will face French veteran Pierre-Hugues Herbert in his opener. Nadal, who has won the Roland Garros on 14 occasions, is unseeded after injury saw his ranking plummet to 276. Zverev arrives in Paris on the back of lifting the Rome Open title last weekend. Of course, they're going to definitely have their hands full. Following Thursday's draw, Djokovic is seeded to face Zverev in the semi-final if he does make that particular progress up until that point in the competition. And the Murray is also competing at the tournament for the final time. And the 37-year-old tackles 2015 champion Stanislas Wawrinka. And of course, in the women's event, we have Iga Swiatek all squaring up against what you might call surprise elements. Double Australian Open champion Sabalenka is seeded to take on former Wimbledon winner Elena Rybakina in the last 4 if she does make it that far. Third seed and US Open champion Coco Gauff faces a qualifier in the first round and is seeded to face Swiatek in the semi-finals if she makes it that far. And Swiatek, meanwhile, is bidding to become the first player to lift 3 successive women's titles in Paris since Justin Henin in 2004. All right, everyone, this is where the curtains fall on this morning's edition of Rapid Sports, because he who fights and runs away definitely lives to fight another day. We're back again on Monday with more from the world of sports. Well, until then, the Breakfast Show continues in just a moment.
All right, welcome back. It's still Rapid Dawn. Glad to know that you're still there, right here on your screen. This is the part where we get talking. We did promise you on Monday and yesterday that we'll be having a conversation regarding the issues going on with PDD, the PDD assault. And it is crazy to know that more women are coming out. I think as at yesterday, the count was about six women coming out with various forms of.
But one of them was a guy.
Oh, one a guy, yes. Rape, physical assault, and the likes. And we did tell you on Monday where the security agencies did say, or rather the law agencies, the legal actually said that they can't do anything regarding Cassie's case because of the time frame. And we're going to talk about some of these issues. And we do have our guest finally with us today, who is going to be talking about these things with us. And our guest this morning is an entertainment lawyer, because we intend to look at this from the legal perspective as to know why, what this portends for PDD, if this is going to be, is this a gradual downwards of his career, of his legacy, or is this just a phase that will pass away? Are we going to see things like what happened to Bill Cosby? Are we going to see things like what happened to Ari Kelly? Are we going to see, and the likes, is this going to change the course of things for him, or is just going to be that kind of thing that an apology is given and then everything goes under the carpet? Anyway, so our guest this morning is William Umor. He's an entertainment lawyer and in Nigeria, and he is a person of repute. And so we just hope that we would have clear perspective to some of these things this morning. Good morning, William. Good to have you. Can you hear me? Okay. All right. So we seem not to hear you. We can only read your lips, but we can't hear you.
Sorry, I forgot my mic was muted. Good morning. Can you hear me now?
Okay. I think we'll have to
Could be a network glitch. We don't know what the challenge is. I know you can hear us, but unfortunately we cannot hear you.
Yes, my mic was muted initially,
fantastic.
but I can hear you now. Please confirm if you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear at the moment.
All right. So I'm definitely sure that you are aware of the situation going on with PDD. We just want to look at some of the things, and then if time permits, we might just delve a little into the AI situation, where some celebrities are complaining that they're hearing their voices on the AI platform and without their consent. I mean, you are an entertainment lawyer, so you would be able to talk about this to us. And also, we can also look briefly at the 100 music album that was released and why some albums didn't make the cut. But first of all, let's start with the first, which is the issue of PDD. As at yesterday, we have about 6 persons, 5 female, 1 male, coming out to say that they were assaulted, they were raped, they had dealings with PDD many years ago, some going as far back as 15, 20, 30 years back. And some of these cases were never dealt with. If not for the issue of Cassie that came out, the video that came out of the hotel in 2016, maybe people wouldn't have known that there was actually a video evidence of some of these things. So as an entertainment lawyer, let's start with, what does this portend for the career and legacy of Puff Daddy?
All right, thank you very much for having me once again. Please confirm if you can hear me.
Yes, we can. Please go ahead.
All right, thank you. So concerning the issue of PDD, looking at it from the legal perspective, I'd first of all drop the entertainment lawyer aspect of it and look at it from the criminal the criminal law perspective. So from the criminal law perspective, once a person is accused right? It has to be proved beyond reasonable doubt that the person is actually guilty of committing the offense, right? And so you'd have to be able to prove the mens rea and the actus reus, which is proving the physical element and the mental element of the offense. Now that's on one side, but considering the fact that we're looking at how this pertains to his legacy and reputation, of course, when we're talking about PDD, we're seeing him as a music figure, right? Someone who has influenced the hip hop culture and all of that. So looking at it from his reputational aspects, looking at it from the professional point of view, music is built around people. Music is built around the fan base. All right. So considering the fact that he has allegations centered around rape, he has allegations centered around assault, and of course, the people who listen to his music are going to consider it from the standpoint of dealing with humans. And as humans, of course, you know that when certain things of this nature, especially when it concerns sensitive things as rape and assault, people are going to see you in a different light. And of course, that is what is going to affect his reputation and affect his professional standing. And of course, you'd also see situations where certain brands start to disassociate with him. So if he was a brand ambassador for certain brands, you'd find out that brands that doesn't align with their image will of course want to terminate their endorsement deals with him, sponsorship deals or whatever sort of deals they're having with him. So of course that is going to affect his professional image. And another thing also notable of worthy of note rather is the fact that he has actually stepped down as I think the CEO of Rapid TV, which he co-founded, right? So these are some of the things you'd have to do. Recuse yourself from certain positions, of course, in order to allow the full course of the law take effect. So investigations are currently going on. Remember, I said that the proof has to be beyond reasonable doubt, and the mental element as well as physical element has to be proved. So of course, him stepping down allows the authorities carry out adequate investigation as to determine whether or not he's actually guilty of most of these offenses. But definitely, this affects his reputation, it affects his professional career. The way people now perceive him is going to be different from the figure they initially knew as the one who has influenced the hip-hop culture from inception till date. So I don't know if that answers the question or you still want me to shed light on certain aspects.
Okay, I do know that my colleague here, Ugochukwu, has some questions, but let's just touch this part before before he gets to ask you something. The Los Angeles County did put out a statement earlier in the week, and where they said that they do not, they find their image extremely disturbing, and unfortunately, they will not be able to charge as the conduct would have occurred beyond the timeline where a crime of assault can be prosecuted. Would you want to speak on that? Because I mean, we've seen people. We have the likes of Bill Cosby. We had the likes of Ari Kelly that did certain things that they were accused of, and I mean, we all know how that ended. And so, what do they mean by a time frame where the action took place?
Okay, so in law, that is always being referred to as it is being status barred. So being status barred means that there is a certain period that is allowed for a crime to be prosecuted. So if the time allowed in law for a crime to be prosecuted is 20 years after the commission of the crime, what that means is that after 20 years, where the crime has already been committed, 20 years after that, you cannot prosecute the crime again. That is the implication. So when they are saying that the duration from which the crime was committed up to the point where it has finally been brought to public light and is meant to be prosecuted has actually passed the limitation period that is permissible by law. So that is why they cannot prosecute, because of course, one of the things I should mention also is the fact that before anything is termed a crime, right, it has to be specifically spelled out by law and punishment provided for same, right? That is when you can say a thing is a crime. Now, if the same law has also provided that now having prescribed a particular act that constitutes a crime and a duration has been given for that, let's say 5, 10, 15 or 20 years has been given for such act to be brought to public light and effectively prosecuted by the public authorities, where such time has elapsed, you cannot hold the person responsible, or even not even hold the person responsible. You cannot even prosecute the act in a court of law because you do no longer have a case. That is the implication. So taking the case to court, it is simply going to be thrown out on the grounds that the statute of limitation has taken effect. So the limitation period has actually been set in motion. So which is actually a good defense. I mean, coming from PDD's lawyers, if such a case eventually sees the light of the day in court.
What about the hotel, where that video was gotten from? Uh, do you not think something should be done with regards? I mean, this is a business, and for them to have covered up something like that, who knows the deal that they made with PDD? Who knows the things that were said, behind the scenes, and everything that went on that we're not privy to? Um, I mean, would you like to speak to that? The role of the hotel. Why did they cover? What if Kasi had died because of that whole assault? Would we still be looking at
Okay,
it as per it was a case that happened years ago?
all right. So speaking to that, side by side, what you just mentioned is also the fact that it was stated that PDD had paid Cassie to not prosecute or take action against any of the acts that he had committed against her or to her, right? So it's one of those allegations flying around. I don't know how true or certain that is. So coming to the aspect of the hotel, yes, you can actually say that they are complicit in the commission of that crime, which is the assault. But in another case, you should also understand that there are certain policies that exist, such as clients. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
please go ahead.
All right. Exists between a client and a service provider. It's to be confidential. So someone has come, lodged in your hotel. It is deemed elements of confidentiality, right? Now, in this particular, so there's usually this clause in law that states that where it by law for certain things which are considered confidential to be disclosed, such, right, without seeking permission, enforcement agencies came in and they requested the recording. It was being presented to them. Regardless of the fact that they were complicit, it was information. But at the instance where it was required by a legally constituted authority, and you exactly cannot hold them responsible.
We had a lot of glitches while you were trying to answer that. So we're going to take a very quick breather, and then we'll come back so we can take your response to that again, because there was lots of breaks while you were giving your response to that.
Okay.
All right, that's fine, no problem.
All right, welcome back. If we have Umar still on the line, please let's have him on screen so that he could speak to the question before now. Okay, welcome back.
Okay, I heard something about client confidentiality. You were saying something about that, but the line kept breaking. So if you would like to take that again.
All right, please confirm if you can hear me now.
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, so what I said was that there's usually a confidentiality in a service provider and a client, right? And so once a service has been provided to you, what is usually included there is the fact that before information can be disclosed, right, it has to be with the permission of. Please confirm if you can.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
permission of the other party. Now, the other grounds where a person can actually go ahead, where it is required by law. In this case, regardless of the fact that you'd say that the hotel and the law authorities, so to say, the particular video or the particular clip that it was produced. So it wasn't when it was demanded for, they actually gave it out. So in that case, you can't actually see they have breached any provision of the law, obligation to their clients, which in this case I believe was paid to them to keep the video secret or confidential or whatever. The fact is that when it was required by law, I wouldn't consider exactly that there have been breach of. I'm not even sure they had in the case, other than the fact that yes, an unlawful act was perpetrated within their premises. By this analysis, you can actually see that I wouldn't consider that they are in breach, because when the without actually I'm actually hearing a ballpark. I don't know if
We can hear you. Okay. How do you see this case ending? How do you see it ending? How do you see this entire lawsuits, allegations, video coming out? How do you see this entire PDD case ending? Are you seeing it dying a natural death, or are you seeing it? Are you seeing it being pursued in court?
Well, the first thing I have to say about that is the fact that PDD is a ordinary celebrity. Is a celebrity that has money, right? It has influence and all of that, and so I presume it could go the route of out of court settlement, where he has to and pay them compensation or damages, as the case may be, for the case to die. Client, sorry, the complainant in this case, the people who are accusing, let go of the matter without any form of compensation or recompense. It could also go to courts, but when it gets to courts, like I mentioned, beyond reasonable doubt that PDD is actually that he has been accused of, and by the time you're going there out, which is the fact that one of the cases, as was stated, so by the time some of these technicalities begin to come up in court, you realize that it's going to the people accusing him. So it's either it's on technicality, or if they're able to prove beyond reasonable doubt, it eventually succeeds.
All right. All right.
There are insinuations in some quarters that PDD might actually be an informant. These are allegations now. Might actually be an informant for the FBI. In fact, earlier this year, there was a raid at his home. Now, someone like Ari Kelly hearing this news might be laughing to himself and thinking he's going to start sharing his bunk with PDD eventually when the time comes. But then again, there is the issue of him evading that, if because I mean, there's been a lot of allegations apart from sex trafficking and the assaults. There are also allegations of him involved in drugs, narcotics, and all of that. Do you think he's going to walk out of this because he decides to be a snitch?
Well, one of the things that the way the legal system over there works is not the same way the legal system over here works, right? Which, of course, I think we see in most movies, the fact that there could be a bigger bit, right? So this could be a bit. PDD might just be the, permit me to use the word pawn in this case. So in this case, in the instance case, if he's able to give out the relevant information or necessary information required for the, he might be offered immunity. I mean, we always see this happening a lot of times. The case is actually is. If it's actually the one that they're all out for, then you can say cases are all being proved against him. But in a situation where they are actually aiming at a bigger, is able to act on the person or give out the information, of course, it goes scot-free, gets immunity.
All right.
I would have loved to ask what happens to the victims in this situation, but I don't know. William, are you there? If we could just
Yes, I'm here.
okay, are you there?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I was just about to ask if that be the case, then what happens to the victims? I mean, what does how does this speak to them? I mean, people who have stayed for years and dying in silence, trying to, and then finally they get to see the sunlight, and then you say the case just goes off like that, and the man who did this to them, alleged, is walking freely or being used as a pawn for something bigger. How does that, what does that, what does that play for them? I mean, as the victims now here, seeing that the person who put them through pain is walking freely.
To respond to that, please confirm if you can hear me.
Yes.
Yes, please go ahead.
All right. So in responding to that, I'd have to mention that three-way traffic. So it's not just justice to the accused person, sorry, justice to the accused person and justice to the society at large, right? Now, one of the things that would be considered not justice is the higher cost, right? So in this case, if justice to the society is actually, how do I describe that now? Now, for instance, like I said, if there is a bigger fish in all of this and taking down the of a greater cost than just taking down PDD, then I believe the system might most likely want to lead to a greater cost other than just, and of course, there might be compensation for the victims. So it could be monetary compensation in PDD of these offenses. So the state in this case could offer compensation to them in some way. And I don't even think that it's going to be publicly announced. Of course, we're talking about a system that has a very clandestine way of doing things. So it's possible that it could offer him immunity, but still keep him in facility for a certain period of time. And then it is on this crime. Meanwhile, there's actually a deal going on. So, I mean, but I believe that the system knows the best way to compensate the victims of this offense.
Now, like in his case with Cassie, he didn't mention that she was just after his money. And even all of the allegations against him, his time and time again denied them and making insinuations that, these things are not true and they were only after his money. Now, after the video from the hotel surfaced, he came to make an apology and was saying that he was in a very dark place and blah, 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 and was literally apologizing for acting the way that he did. Now, for someone who his narration before was that he was not guilty and that these people were after his money, and now he's coming out to say that he was in a dark place, and that whole narration does not align. Does it not look to you like he definitely has more to tell us than what we are seeing out there on the news, than the response that he's been given, that he's not guilty of those charges?
Well, as a lawyer, what I can say is the only person who knows the truth of this case right now is his lawyer. He gone to his lawyer and told his lawyer the whole facts of the case and the truth. Relative or subjective as the case may be. But if he has actually opened up on everything, who knows what are the facts, the true facts of this case will be his lawyer. or you'd have to prove that he's guilty. It has to be beyond reasonable assault because the video was hidden might not be enough. I mean, it's a subjective case. I really can't say if he has more to say or not. What has been heard so far.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. William, for having this conversation with us. But there's one thing I'd like you to answer before you go. Are you there? Mr. William? Okay. Can you hear us? Mr. William?
Are you sure he doesn't have a client to represent in court this morning?
I would have really loved for him to answer this particular question on the AI voice situation. I would really, really love, because Scarlett Johansson is threatening to sue because they did approach her with a deal to use her voice, saying that her voice is suiting and the likes to be used. But then she said that she declined the offer, only for people to be hearing her voice on the AI voice app, and it was crazy. Now, this is not the first person. She's not the first person coming out. I think about last week or so, these couples, they were listening to a podcast, and they noticed that the podcast, while they were enjoying the podcast, they had noticed that the voice was actually theirs, because they are voiceover people, but they had never worked with that brand before, or that AI this thing before. They've never so it was when we're like, oh, this is actually your voice. Oh, this is actually your own voice. And then they realized that it was actually AI generated, but it was their voice. And so it was crazy. So Scarlett is threatening to sue. This is what I was about to ask Mr. William, but unfortunately, it seems he's not online.
And we also had that issue. I think it was in the issue between Drake and Kendrick. I think it was Drake that used AI voices of Snoop Dogg or something like that. You know, in their whole back and forth, the diss tracks, and you know, that whole thing. And the Kendrick team did threaten to sue, or was it a Snoop Dogg team? I really can't get the whole story right now. But I mean, that whole thing is an issue. You know, having to use artist voices, but now AI generated ones, you know, to sometimes do actually more harm than good.
I mean, because these things could be a source of problem. Are you there, Mr. William?
Yes, I'm with you.
Oh, okay, great. I did have one question that I wanted to ask you regarding the AI voice situation. We are having some persons complaining about their voice being used on AI without their consent, without their approval. I mean, the most recent one is Scarlett Johansson, and she's threatening to sue the AI company that they are using her voice. They used her voice, AI generated. I mean, how does this work? Is it something that will fly? And what does this mean? What does it mean for us when our voices are no longer safe? Like, we don't even have right to our own voice again.
All right. So concerning the whole situation in the music industry, it's becoming increasingly alarming and an issue of utmost concern for creatives. I'd like to use the word creatives because it doesn't affect the music industry only. It's gradually spilling or spearheading to various other facets of the creative industry. But coming to situations where voices are being replicated, so you could have someone who is dead and long gone, and AI is able to, you know, it's machine learning. So the moment you're able to feed the AI with continuous information about a particular person, the AI is able to replicate almost exactly, right? what that person could have done. So that is the issue we're facing. But now the major problem is if we are to enforce these things against a particular person, who are we going to be holding responsible? Is it the AI itself, which is not considered a person in law, or is it the person who created the AI?
The company.
Please confirm if you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you. The company. Uh,
Hello?
yes, we can hear you.
All right. So yes, I said that the major issue now is going to be the issue of ascertaining who will be held responsible for misdeeds of the AI, because artificial intelligence is not considered a person,
Mm-hmm.
except, of course, it falls under the purview of a natural person or a person who is being registered. In the case of Nigeria, a company registered with the Corporate Affairs Commission assumes the of an artificial person in law, right? So the major question now is going to be who will be held responsible. Now, as far as I'm concerned, our laws do not extensively cover that. I don't know what the laws in the country. The only country that has been able to make regulations that covers AI to the extent that a case is actually being in court is actually China. So far, the call down. UK is developing a lot. US is also developing a lot to be able to meet up with the fast pace at which technology is evolving. So now, like I said, the major question is going to be ascertaining who to hold responsible. Now, do not forget that the actual perpetrator of the act is the AI, right? So in a situation where you are holding the company responsible, the company only created an object that they fed the information. Now, where I feel the major issue lies is in the aspect of giving credit. Now, um, let me give a little explanation as to this GPT, right?
Mm.
If you use ChatGPT a lot, what you can simply do to confirm if a information, click Google and try to, you find out that Google will be able to link that particular information or trace it down to someone who had made that statement or made that assertion at one point or the other. Now, what I feel can be done with the case of artificial intelligence in this case is giving credit,
Mm.
right? So you have picked a particular information or particular data that belongs to someone. The best you can do is give this person credit and, of course, due compensation for the work. So that is when we now talk about the accountability or transparency of AI, holding AI accountable for. But the person who can do this is the person who creates the AI and not the AI itself, because the AI is just a machine that is being fed information. So I believe that where these companies will actually have a classic role to play is when they begin to attribute credit, give due credit and compensation to this person. So going to court is actually not a problem. Of course, it's going to be a legal system as to determining how these cases can be tried. So all I can say is that with the person going to court, good luck and the ability to be able to prove our straight. And once that can be determined in court, of course, we'll now have a precedence to be able to follow through with prosecuting cases of AI infringement or rights and the like. So
Mm. Because in the case of Scarlett, she said that the AI company did approach her to use her voice, but she declined. She did not accept for her voice to be used, and then only to only for people to start calling that they had her voice on the AI platform. So don't you think that that is also breach of a certain agreement, possibly?
uh, I wouldn't exactly call it a breach. I'd actually call it an infringement of a
Mm.
right, because it's not like they had a contract and they went against that contract. That's when it to be a breach. In this case, it was a classical case of infringement of her rights. I won't legally be able to quote what their laws are over there, but for our copyright laws over here, it actually provides for certain instances of protection of a person's copyright. Of course, music falls right to abuse before you can create a derivative or before you can what's it called? There are five different aspects of protection covered under copyright, right? So before you can explore or exploit any of these aspects as regards be able to do so. So not getting that license by the company and then going ahead to use a voice, of course, qualifies as an infringement. But like I said, I'm not exactly certain of what their laws are and what their laws states concerning these cases. So once it gets to court and the person is able to prove, it now sets a precedent where we can now follow with.
All right.
And once she's able to do that, we can now see that we now have a reference point to be able to prosecute most of these things.
All right. Thank you so much, William Umo, for having this conversation with us. We're really, really grateful.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for having me.
Yeah, we do
Thank
hope that
you.
we didn't eat too much into your day. All right.
Yeah,
That was
right. In any case, I'll send in my bill of charges.
uh, that's fine. I mean, bring it on. Bring it on. We are capable. All right. So that was William Omar. He's an entertainment lawyer and a creative mind. He is many things in one. And I think he's been able to give us a clear perspective on things. And we keep watching to see what the coming days look like in terms of the PD case. How, if probably what he said comes to pass.
Or if another person is going to come forward with another allegation.
Maybe a more recent one or something. I mean, just anything. We'll keep our fingers crossed. And I think there's been a good show today.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, we can call it a success. If you ask me. It is Friday, so I mean, turn up Friday, enjoyment Friday, fun Friday, spend your savings Friday, break your colo Friday. I mean, just try as much as possible to have fun today. I mean, be like me,
word.
have fun, chop your savings. I know Ugo doesn't agree with me, but
Don't listen to how. Because the day where you go red, you're not gonna see her. She's not gonna turn up for you.
I'll be by your side, my love.
Oh yeah.
I'll stand by your side.
On a wash. On a wash.
Do you know the song that just came to my head when you said wash?
Yeah. No way.
Anyway, thank you guys for staying with us this morning. We really had fun. I'm sure you did have fun too. We have a lot of things to share with you. Unfortunately, we cannot. But that is why there is a Monday where we bring you all of these fun things, a lot of motivation, a lot of things to, get you charged up for the new week. I do not like...
Monday is Children's Day though, so watch out for that one.
Absolutely. It's Children's Day.
You might have
on Monday
younger versions of myself and Cynthia presenting the show, just telling you ahead of time.
All right. So, but with that, I would say that try as much as possible to follow us on our social media platform on Facebook and on Instagram. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel to get, follow up on some of our activities, and those that you've missed, you can always watch them right there, and visit our website for more interesting content, and you can, stream, anywhere in the world. Okay, and my name is Cynthia Agbo. I'm going to miss you this weekend, but I too deserve some rest, my love.
Ugochukwu Madam is my name.